I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Motion carries. Public input. Okay, hearing none, we'll go to the purpose of this meeting, and that is the Blatchford
Sure, I'll take it.
sewer. Apparently during phase 4, and there's probably or phase 2, excuse, and there's probably some background here of way the sewer lines were put in years ago. I mean, years ago, in which they would run, one household would hook up to another, who hooked up to another, and hooked up to another. Am I right on that? Okay, so, and so therefore, in the process of doing phase 2, Mr. Blatchford's sewer was missed, and it comes out as a, just more or less a T and stuff. And anyway, having said that, I'm going to let Councilman Price intervene and explain some of the things. He was over there a little bit earlier than I was, and was able to talk to Mr. Olson with regard to the situation. So with that, Patrick?
Ron's, Olson's put a clean out right here, right outside his line. And it comes out about where this water line is in the street. There's an old 6-inch T main that comes down to here. He couldn't get the camera obviously through a T, so it is the assumption that it was not re-put in right here, because the only way to tell that 100% would be to dig it up and verify it. But it'd be a lot cheaper for us. That is the assumption and the consensus of all the contractors, that it did not get put in when it went by here, because they would have just dug past it, because there's nothing on the plan for that. So the fix, so the issue he's having was this main line was just a big septic tank, is all it was. It was just a 6-inch septic tank, and just backfilled with solid to this T.
Okay, you might want to explain the situation, why all of a sudden it's backfilling and stuff, so.
Well, always it was just him, but now he has another resident in there where more waste is getting flushed. So the water cannot saturate out of the pipe as fast, out of cracks in the pipe. So that's why it's happening now. Because when was this project done?
Tommy's were here, so.
3 years?
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, so they've been going for 3 years the way this is. It's just now it's finally getting backed up again.
Wow.
The solution, the fix is there's, I believe an 18-inch sewer line 3/4 of the way out of the street, and we can connect to that right there instead of having to mess with this stuff. So it's only 10 feet over from his existing line, but this main's 16 foot deep. 16.7. So we gotta dig a really big hole just right in front of his house and connect it to it.
And Tony indicated too, that he has to bring some equipment over that he doesn't have here. And in doing, I think that excavator, is that what he called it?
Yeah, he just has to bring in
If it was the bigger one than he has, he could probably get down that deep, but he can't, so he doesn't even wanna try it. In visiting with Tony, of course, first thing is how much it's gonna cost, and, he indicated that he was gonna work with Ron in the street department with regard to, gravel, as far as, and also with regard to that, and then we'd replace have the street repair. But correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but I think he said around $13,000. He said that's on the high end. Go ahead. 13.5, thank you.
Yeah, that was for the unknowns, and because he does have to work around a water line and a storm sewer in that street, so he's like, that is not to exceed 13.5.
13.5, yeah, he thought, and he
If it
thought,
comes out way better, he's obviously gonna keep the relationship good with the city, but just
Yeah.
to cover himself, he wanted to put that number out.
but correct me if I'm wrong, there's, you know, there's an indication that, obviously if it's gonna be less than that, it would be
Correct.
less than the 13.5, so. So that's the situation that we're dealing with, and we have a very, very short window. We're talking about days in order to get the project done. And that, help me out with regard to that. I think you said. Yeah, week and a half.
Friday, I think he's done digging Friday of
Yeah,
next week,
yeah, he's done digging Friday of this week,
or next week.
or next week, thank you.
I don't think there's a lot of question about whether or not we do it or don't do it. I think you have to do it, but I wanna know, how does that get skipped?
Okay, I'm gonna, because when we found that out, the first thing I had Shayla do is call SPN with regard to, just let them know of the situation, and I'll let you, talk about the conversation you had.
I was talking to Camden when Will called me earlier today, and I mentioned this to him, and he said his notes, he went back to look at his notes on this. He said, my notes indicate that there was a second connection down that went into the house on the south corner of that block. He said, we could not find where it went to, and so it was the general consensus to not hook it up, because they knew that the one line went to the High's house. And the other one, he said, was 67 foot west, I believe, of the main. So it would have been in High's yard, it wouldn't have been out in the street, so he doesn't know if it was the same one or not, or if it came at a goofy angle or whatever, but he said it was in High's yard, the second one that they found that they did not connect, because it was a general consensus that it didn't go anywhere.
A general consensus among who?
I don't know, I wish Terry was here, if he would remember that conversation or not, if he would have been there.
This is the,
Cause it was, I don't know if Camden, but Camden had it in his notes.
yeah, the thing about it though is, I mean, we're paying and have paid SPN north of $500,000 to oversee these projects, and this is the second time now we've come across things. And last time we played nice and split the bill with them. But that's part of the thing we're paying them for, is to oversee this stuff and make sure that this is all put together correctly. And just,
You know, and I agree, but, you know, in not knowing, I'm hesitant to say this, but, you know, you're working with the information that you have available, and, you know, sometimes you trust greater forces to, with that regard. I'm not gonna say one way or another, I agree with you, I do, but
the thing is that in that situation, the greater force is the engineering firm that we're paying hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to. I mean, they can try to blame it on whoever they want, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that are responsible for it. We're paying them to be responsible for it. You can, I understand there might have been other opinions there at the time, but that's why we're paying them, is to be the final decision and make the right ones, and they don't.
all right.
I totally agree with what Will is saying, that, the engineers get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. I know this is an emergency situation, and it needs to be done by next week, so I can see where we have to go ahead with it, but I definitely think it still should be pursued, with the engineer, because they definitely should have to hold some responsibility for that.
And let the record indicate that Councilwoman Lichty is joining us by phone. And I agree, but I think what and I'm sure with the concurrence, we'll go ahead with the project, you know.
I was gonna can I make a motion that we fix this price, but then put this topic on our next council meeting to discuss the cause and aftermath?
I'll second that.
All right, just have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, so the motion is to go ahead and remedy the situation, but bring this topic up for discussion with regard to gaining a little insight with regard to the decisions that were made at that time why or why not something was hooked up. Okay, is that fair? Okay, all in favor, any other, no discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same, motion carries. Being no further business can be discussed at this meeting, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose the same? That an aye, Tammy?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right. You bet.
Yeah, there's just a little bit.
Is Terry back next week? or-
Next week, yeah. Next week.
But that's a good conversation, I mean, it is, so we'll just, yeah, we'll just do it that way. So we can go
Okay.
ahead and, get, Tony onto that, tell him we've, approved that, and then just go forward with it.
Start moving equipment.
It's already
like to.
moved in there, I think.
Sounds like the weather's gonna hold.
I'm gonna go ahead and